With the push of a button, 100 million gallons of water rush in like a controlled tsunami. Within hours, this colossal warship, longer than 3 football fields, rises from its concrete cradle and floats for the very first time.
The launch of the U.S. Navy's newest aircraft has made global waves and captured massive attention. Its advanced technology, unmatched speed, and striking capabilities made it stand out as a true game-changer. This powerful jet stirs intense competition and could shift the balance of power in key regions. China, in particular, views it as a direct challenge to its rising ambitions in the Pacific. Today, we'll dive into details about why this cutting-edge aircraft has left China deeply unsettled. One major reason China fears the new U.S. Navy aircraft is its unmatched speed and technology. America's latest carrier-based jet uses advanced sensors, stealth design, and powerful networking to boost survivability and lethality. Meanwhile, the F-35C Lightning II, a fifth-generation stealth fighter, gives the U.S. Navy access to restricted skies. Its low visibility and electronic warfare systems make it extremely hard for Chinese radar or missiles to detect. In short, the F-35C lets the Navy fly nearly invisible missions close to China's defenses, alarming Beijing's planners. These fighters also fix key gaps in the Navy's ability to project power far from home. The F-35C, with long-range weapons and refueling capability, extends American reach, allowing strikes deep into Chinese territory or sea targets. This directly challenges China's anti-access area denial, A2/AD strategy built on missile systems and strong defenses. The ability of U.S. jets to operate undetected in these areas weakens China's layered defenses. For Beijing, which spent billions building a protective fortress, this creates a serious vulnerability.
Systems that catapult fighter jets into the sky, you'll discover why America's carrier fleet remains the most feared and respected naval force on Earth.
Also, China has been very unsettled about the new U.S. Navy aircraft because these platforms are part of an integrated system of naval warfare. The Navy's latest aircraft work in close coordination with new carrier strike groups, advanced destroyers, and reconnaissance platforms. This integration means the U.S. can leverage real-time battlefield data for targeting and engagement decisions, enhancing the effectiveness of its strikes and defensive measures. The improved sensor fusion and information sharing reduce reaction times and increase the pressure on China to keep up not only with aircraft development, but also with command and control architectures. In a conflict scenario, this could mean the difference between China reacting too late or losing critical assets before they can even respond.
For the Navy, but for everyone who believes in American maritime superiority. On this crisp autumn morning, shipyard workers prepared to witness something truly spectacular, the first flooding of Dry Dock 12 with the Kennedy inside. But this isn't simply opening a valve and letting water rush in. The flooding process is a carefully orchestrated ballet of...
Furthermore, the arrival of the U.S. Navy's newest aircraft is shaking up China's ambitions in the region. For years, China has been trying to dominate the South China Sea and East China Sea, building artificial islands, setting up military bases, and staking bold claims over disputed waters. But with America's advanced naval aircraft entering the scene, already made things difficult. These stealth fighters, loaded with high-precision weapons, can be launched from carriers that operate much closer to China's mainland than before. This means Beijing can no longer act without worrying about a swift and powerful American response. Each time a U.S. carrier moves through the South China Sea with its cutting-edge planes, it isn't just a routine patrol. It's a clear signal to China that Washington is watching closely and is willing to push back. For China, these flyovers and deployments feel like direct challenges to its authority and ambitions in what it sees as its backyard.
Carrier construction. Once fully afloat, the Kennedy must be carefully maneuvered to the west end of the dry dock, where she'll undergo additional testing before her official christening. This movement requires incredible precision. Tugboats, positioning systems, and experienced pilots work together to guide this floating city with millimeter accuracy. There's no room for error when you're moving a vessel.
Another major thing that scares China is the way these new U.S. Navy aircraft reshape the fragile balance in the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan has always been a deeply sensitive issue for Beijing. It regards the island as a breakaway province that must, sooner or later, be unified with the mainland, even by force if necessary. Taiwan, however, continues to strengthen its democratic institutions, build its defenses, and maintain close ties with the United States. This unresolved dispute has made the Strait one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints, where even small shifts in military capability can tip the scales of power. Also, the introduction of advanced American aircraft into this equation represents a serious problem for China. These planes are not just faster and stealthier than their predecessors. They can deploy at incredible speed, strike with surgical precision, and operate effectively in contested airspace. Their advanced systems are designed to hunt down and suppress enemy air defenses, a tactic known as SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses. Combined with powerful electronic warfare capabilities, they can jam, disable, or outright destroy the radar networks and missile systems that China has invested heavily in to protect its coastline. In a potential conflict over Taiwan, this means the U.S. could punch dangerous holes in China's defensive shield, leaving its forces exposed and vulnerable.
The process itself is impressive. What makes modern Ford-class carriers truly extraordinary lies in their revolutionary technology.
For Beijing, this raises a troubling calculation. Every step it has taken to prepare for a potential operation against Taiwan, deploying advanced missiles, upgrading its air defenses, and expanding its naval reach, now looks far less certain to succeed in the face of American innovation. A military campaign that might once have seemed achievable suddenly appears riskier, costlier, and less predictable. Instead of a quick, decisive strike, China would have to reckon with the possibility of heavy losses, stalled operations, and international backlash, all triggered by the presence of just a handful of U.S. carriers and their new aircraft. And this undermines one of China's long-term goals, creating the option to reunify Taiwan by force if political or diplomatic efforts fail. For years, Beijing has counted on steadily shifting the balance in its favor, building up its arsenal while hoping U.S. deterrence would gradually weaken. Yet the arrival of these next-generation naval aircraft signals the opposite, that Washington is not only committed to defending Taiwan, but is also staying technologically ahead.
Once fully afloat, the Kennedy must be carefully maneuvered to the west end of the dry dock, where she'll undergo additional testing before her official christening. This movement requires incredible precision. Tugboats, positioning systems, and experienced pilots.
Also, any attempt by China to seize Taiwan would be far from straightforward. Rather than achieving a quick and decisive victory, Beijing would likely face a drawn-out and uncertain fight against aircraft specifically designed to cripple its defenses. These new U.S. Navy planes tilt the balance in America's favor, making the dream of swift reunification through military force appear more distant than ever. The mere possibility of failure is enough to rattle Beijing's confidence, as war in the Taiwan Strait could spiral into an unpredictable and costly gamble. Yet the anxiety doesn't stop there. These aircraft represent more than just advanced machines. They signal a dramatic shift in American naval strategy. For decades, the U.S. relied heavily on massive carrier strike groups to project power. Now, however, Washington is diversifying its approach by spreading air power across different platforms, including unmanned combat aerial vehicles, UKVs, and sophisticated drones. This new model makes it far harder for China to predict or target American forces.
To build these carriers represent the best of American craftsmanship and dedication. Consider the scope of what these workers accomplish. Over 3,200 shipbuilders.
Additionally, Beijing has invested heavily in anti-ship missiles to keep U.S. forces at a distance, a strategy often called anti-access or area denial. But with drones and manned jets working in tandem, the U.S. can punch holes in China's layered defenses. Suddenly, Beijing's carefully built arsenal looks less effective, leaving the battlefield of tomorrow unpredictable and dangerous from China's perspective. Also, the symbolism of these aircraft is just as powerful as their military capabilities. Each time they fly across the Western Pacific, they send a loud and unmistakable message. The United States is committed to keeping these waters open and free. For regional allies such as Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines, these patrols serve as a visible reassurance of America's resolve. For China, however, they appear as proof that Washington is encircling it with partners and backing them with superior technology. Every sortie becomes both a military maneuver and a diplomatic warning.
Marvel stands the human element that makes it all possible. The men and women who build these carriers represent the best of American craftsmanship and dedication. Consider the scope of what these workers accomplish.
And this modernization of U.S. naval aviation also creates pressure within China itself. Beijing is pouring resources into its J-20 stealth fighter program, improving its carrier-based jets, and rapidly expanding its naval aviation capabilities. While progress is being made, China still lags behind the U.S. in several critical areas, such as stealth technology, sensor fusion, and long-range strike abilities. Trying to close this gap is extremely expensive. Each yuan spent chasing America's advantage is money not spent on domestic growth, social programs, or infrastructure. This tension forces Chinese leaders to balance national pride and military ambition with pressing economic challenges. What makes these new U.S. aircraft especially threatening is their flexibility. Unlike traditional jets built for specific roles, they are designed to handle almost any mission: air-to-air combat, long-range precision strikes, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, or even air refueling. This adaptability means a U.S. carrier operating in the Pacific can quickly shift from routine patrols to full combat readiness. Because China cannot predict exactly how these assets will be used, it faces constant uncertainty, and uncertainty itself is a form of power. Another major concern for Beijing is how these aircraft fit into a broader joint strategy. The U.S. Navy does not operate in isolation. Its new planes are built to function seamlessly with the Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, and even allied militaries. Together, they form an integrated network capable of striking deep, moving fast, and maintaining a clear picture of the battlefield. For China, this means it is not just confronting American jets, but an entire coordinated military machine that extends far beyond a single branch of service. And the symbolic impact of this aircraft goes even further. This aircraft shows America's unmatched technological edge and ability to project power globally. When they appear near Chinese-claimed waters, they not only challenge Beijing militarily, but also deal a blow to its sense of national pride. Images of advanced U.S. fighters flying unchallenged in contested zones influence global perceptions, reassure American allies, and inspire smaller nations such as Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines to resist Chinese pressure. Also, many countries are impressed by this advanced aircraft and more likely to purchase American weapons. Also, participate in U.S.-led military exercises and rely on Washington for security guarantees. This weakens China's ability to expand its influence through arms sales or defense partnerships. In this sense, American aircraft double as instruments of soft power, shaping alliances and international trust. When the United States demonstrates the ability to fly stealth fighters and drones deep into contested zones, it forces China to think twice before making risky moves. That hesitation alone shifts the strategic balance in America's favor. It sends an unmistakable message. Any attempt to challenge U.S. dominance in the Pacific will be uncertain, costly, and dangerous. Finally, the new generation of U.S. Navy aircraft does far more than add to America's arsenal. They reshape the strategic environment of the entire Asia-Pacific region. These planes represent cutting-edge technology, strategic flexibility, and the ability to coordinate seamlessly across multiple military domains. They reassure allies, deter adversaries, and place enormous pressure on China's military, economy, and politics. China is worried, and it's all because of America's newest Navy aircraft. These cutting-edge jets aren't just planes, they're game-changers that could tilt the balance of power in the Pacific. Curious why China is so nervous? Watch till the end, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.